can you shoot a text out to Olga?
Yep, sure thing. I'll be on camera in a minute. I'm just pulling up now.
Yeah, let's see what she's what she can tune in here. Did you set YouTube up already? Yeah. Okay.
We're all set, Teddy. Everything started. I'm gonna mute.
Yeah, it didn't pop up on YouTube yet. There we go. Okay. What do you think? Start it up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
6, 7, 8. Okay.
We have 8.
All right. Why don't we excuse me. Ready to go? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Commission of the City of Danbury, November 28, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Let the record show we will begin with a roll call at 7:36. Commissioner Botello.
Here.
Commissioner David.
Here.
Commissioner Bennett.
Here.
Commissioner Hawley.
Here.
Commissioner Hylinski.
Here.
Commissioner Jowdy is here. Commissioner Malillo.
Here.
Commissioner Rea. Absent. Commissioner Duran. Absent. Commissioner Mejia is absent. And if she pops in, I will read her in. The next regular meeting is scheduled for December 12th, 2023. If we would all stand, if anyone has their flags, and if we can join Mr. Commissioner Bennett in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone should have received the minutes to the meeting November 14th, 2023. Commission members, what's your pleasure? Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll raise the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Botello to accept the minutes of November 14th, 2023, seconded by Commissioner Hylinski. Any discussion? Comments, additions, deletions, modifications? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Not hearing or seeing. Minutes are accepted unanimously. And where is, here it is. Instructions for tonight's meeting. This meeting of the Danbury Zoning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and video, or you can call in by phone and participate via an audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. This is also being streamed live via YouTube. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting any questions or comments on agenda items were submitted via email to Sharon Calitro, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches sometimes do occur. Please be patient if that happens. Okay, that's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. Let me read into the record the oh, by the way, let me ask Commissioner Hawley, have you heard from Commissioner Mejia?
Nope, nothing yet.
Okay, thank you. Just moving boxes around. Okay. Regarding the legal notice, notice is hereby given to the zoning commission of the city of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, November 28, 2023, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. Petition of Danbury Mall LLC, 7 Bacchus Avenue, F16015, F16014, F17014, F17015, F17002, F17002-2, and F17002-3 for change of zone from CG20 to MURM, Mixed Use Regional Mall, MURM. A copy of this application is on file in the town clerk's and planning and zoning offices for public inspection. Parties and interests and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Agenda to be posted will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials and view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Theodore J. Haddad Jr. Chairman posted on the city website and town clerk's office on November 15, 2023. Published in the News Times on November 17, 2023 and November 24, 2023. Purchase order 2024-8. Additionally, this agenda was filed in the town clerk's office on November 22nd, 2023 at 12:37 p.m. And that's done, and that's done. First public hearing, the only public hearing this evening is a petition of the Danbury Mall LLC, 7 Bacchus Avenue. Lots as read in on a legal notice to save a couple of seconds here for change of zone from CG20 to MURM Mixed Use Regional Mall. Let me start with the Planning Commission recommendation. November 22nd, 2023, to Theodore J. Haddad Jr., Chairman, Danbury Zoning Commission, from Arnold E. Finaldi Jr., Chairman, Danbury Planning Commission, regarding 83A referral petition of Danbury Mall LLC, 7 Bacchus Avenue, for change of zone from CG20 to MURM Mixed Use Regional Mall. At the web-based Zoom meeting held on November 15th, 2023, City of Danbury Planning Commission voted to give the above referenced petition a positive recommendation for the following reasons. Number one, this complies with the Plan of Conservation and Development, POCD, which recognized the Danbury Fair Mall as an important economic driver for the city and recommended consideration of flexibility in zoning to accommodate future needs of the city. The Danbury Fair Mall lots were designated on the future land use map, FLUM, as appropriate for inclusion in a regional mall category. Number two, these lots are appropriate for rezoning because this complies with the zone change criteria in the zoning regulations. The uses on the lots in the new zone would be compatible with surrounding uses, including residential uses. The lots are accessed via Bacchus Avenue, an arterial street. Municipal water and sewer services are provided to the developed site, and the land is relatively flat. Number three, additionally, any new development will have to address issues associated with stormwater runoff and the impact, if any, to the existing drainage system, series of ponds around the perimeter. Ongoing maintenance of the stormwater system has been addressed during each site plan review, most recently for site changes associated with the Target retail store application. Lastly, the lots are not located in the public water supply watershed area. The motion for a positive recommendation was made by Mrs. Hofstetter and seconded by Mr. Salvain and passed unanimously by voice vote with 5 ayes from Mr. Chiocchio, Mr. Haas, Mrs. Hofstetter, Mr. Salvain, and Chairman Finaldi. Regarding the 8.3B recommendation from Westcog, let's see, it was requested of them on October 25th. Their response is dated October 26th, and it is the opinion of Westcog staff is that the proposal is of local interest and with minimal intermunicipal impact. Therefore, it is not being forwarded to adjacent municipalities, and the regional staff is making no comment. Okay. Got that.
Mr. Haddad,
Yes, Commissioner Melillo.
just out of curiosity, you may remember this. On the original petition, when we allowed the use, did Westcog weighed in on that one, correct?
I don't know. We remember they weighed in on one of them for the first time in our memory.
I know, and
Was it this one?
I was thinking
Yes.
it was this one.
Yeah. And Ms. Calitro and Ms. Reed are both saying yes.
I just want to comment that I find it odd that they weighed in on the the legislative action, but not the rezoning petition.
Yes. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Add that to the record. So if I can call on Ms. Calitro now to give her staff report information, please.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Sharon Calitro, I'm the planning director.
Thank you.
So you have a copy of my November 8th, 2023 staff report. We have received this petition from the Danbury Mall LLC to rezone these 7 parcels on Bacchus Avenue from CG20 to the new MIRM zoning district. Could you guys, I think Bob, maybe you need to mute yourself, Bob Batello. Just getting some feedback, that's all. The lots are owned by, I'm sorry, while the Danbury Mall LLC owns the majority of the land proposed to be rezoned, other lots are included in the petition. These are owned by Macy's Retail Holdings, LLC, CT, CTL Propco 1, LLC, and MS Portfolio, LLC. The Macerich Company is the parent company of both MS Portfolio, LLC, and the Danbury Mall, LLC. And all the lot owners that are included in this petition have endorsed letters agreeing to be included in the new zoning district, and the lot ownership is identified on the zone change map that was submitted with the petition. Attorney Beecher, the petitioner's legal counsel, provides the reasons for the request in his letter to the Zoning Commission, which is dated, October 16, 2023. Additional supporting documentation is also included in separate letters from attorney to the Zoning Commission and to staff from Attorney Beecher, both of which are dated October 30th, 2023. These 7 parcels, which are part of the rezoning, comprise 116.29 acres. The request for the land area to be rezoned totals 119.84 acres, with the difference, which is 3.55 acres, being the land area within the right-of-way of Bacchus Avenue. And as you guys know, where pursuant to section 3B3, where required, the proposed zoning district boundary line extends to the middle of Bacchus Avenue. It goes to the middle of the road if there's a different zone on the opposite side of the road. So the roadway area of the zone change is the 3.55 acres. In terms of zoning around the mall parcels, the land generally north and east is zoned IL40, although a small lot immediately to the east, which is where Joseph A. Banks, the retail store, is located, is zoned CG20. A portion of the railroad tracks in the lots northeast of the subject parcel are zoned CA80, and the lots immediately adjacent to the subject site to the west, which is the Danbury Square Mall, and most of the lots across Bacchus Avenue are zoned at CG20. The rezoning would allow changes in use in all the lots to any use that's allowed in the MIRM zoning district, including a number of commercial uses, as well as an apartment house or a garden apartment. I know there's been a lot of discussion about housing, so for the purposes of a residential unit density calculation, if the 116.29 acres are rezoned, that would provide for 144 residential dwelling units, and additional units may be provided if the lot owners request development approval under the housing incentive option. As you recall, that's a provision in the new regulations in section 5I-7B. All changes in use and other site changes are subject to the requirements of the new mixed-use regional mall zoning district and any necessary land use approvals. So what we did was, there are development standards and there are MIRM district dimensional requirements that have to be met for lots to be included in the zone, and I'll just walk you through what those are. In terms of development standards, they're in the new sections 5I, 3A through D, and they have to do with lot ownership, a minimum site size, municipal water and sewer, residential unit uses, and access and location. So in terms of ownership and minimum lot size, the district regulations require the MIRM site to have a minimum gross site acreage of 100 acres. Clearly, as I indicated previously, the lots proposed for rezoning total 116.29 acres. The lots shall also be in single ownership or owned by different entities, but under the unified control or a reciprocal easement agreement. The petitioner has provided that copies of that reciprocal easement agreement verifying that provision. In terms of municipal water and sewer, the site and the uses that are included on the lands are required to be served by municipal water and sewer, and they are. In terms of residential dwelling unit uses, if residential uses is desired, this section of the regs says that the use must be located within an existing building or substantially within the footprint of an existing building that's 75,000 square feet or larger and in existence as of the date of submission and approval of a petition to change the zone to the MIRM district. So to verify that and the building sizes, the petitioner has provided as part of their petition a copy of the overall site plan, which was last approved by the Planning Commission in March of this year, and the building sizes are noted to establish compliance with that requirement, should in the future they want to come in and do some residential use on the site. In terms of access and location, MIRM sites shall have direct access to an arterial or collector road and be located within half a mile of a limited access highway or connector. And as we all know, the site is adjacent to Route 7 and I-84, and Backus Avenue, pursuant to our regulations, is an arterial road. In terms of general use regulation, section 5I5A, the lots proposed to be rezoned must meet the overall site dimensional requirements in terms of the acreage, setback, and coverage that are noted in that section, and the copy of the latest overall site plan approval from 2023 was submitted to verify compliance with those standards. Some specific use regulations for permitted uses in the MIRM zone, which are sections 5I6A3 and D, pertain to this. So the A3, the 5I6A3 provision says that for an apartment house or garden apartment use, again, for some later use, the non-residential gross building area shall be no less than 93% of the gross building area existing on the site on the date of approval to change the zone to the MIRM district. So again, petitioner to verify that percentage, again, although residential use is not now proposed, the petitioner submitted a copy of that latest overall site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission earlier this year. And then to verify the uses within the building to determine trip generation uses for future changes in use. And I know it's a little bit different than the norm, but we're trying to establish some baseline. The petitioner has submitted uses in existence on the date of approval of zone change plans, and there are 3 pages to that. They're part of Attorney Beecher's submission on October 30th. We do note that there needed to be some changes, and Attorney Beecher will speak to this as well, to 2 tenant spaces that needed to be changed from retail to amusement, and that, as he will indicate, has been provided in later correspondence. In terms of the site sign regulations for the MIRM district, section 8E, 4A, little a, 1 little a, the section limits the maximum aggregated wall signage on the MIRM site to 5% of the total wall area of all the buildings and structures on the site, including freestanding buildings, but excluding the parking structure, and sections of wall space that are not part of the main building, or loading spaces and refuse areas, or ancillary building support services. And so to establish that baseline, the petitioner has included wall signs, main and pad buildings, as well as the wall area sign study as part of this petition. And so when they go to apply for a sign permit, should this petition be approved, the zoning enforcement officer will use that information in order to determine, in order to confirm compliance with that regulation. The Plan of Conservation and Development recognized the Danbury Fair Mall as an important economic driver for the city, It recommended, it being the POCD, recommended consideration of flexibility in the zoning to accommodate the city's future needs. The Danbury Fair Mall lots were designated on the future land use map, the FLUM, as appropriate for inclusion in the regional mall category. And this category and the description of the category in the POCD was the basis for the MIRM zoning district regulations that were approved by this commission. I think just last month, actually. Therefore, the lots are consistent. The rezoning of the lots is consistent with the POCD. And then section 10I3 provides, of the zoning regulations, provides a zone change criteria. And there are some overall general criteria that must be met. The new MIRM zoning district was created to recognize, again, the regional significance of the parcels that comprise the mall and address specific issues associated with redevelopment opportunities. Lots are suitable for uses allowed in the MIRM zone, and most uses exist. Approvals for new uses will be required in accordance with the new MIRM district and other applicable regulations, and allowed uses are compatible with the surrounding area. As I previously discussed, it's unlikely that any other sites could be rezoned to the MIRM zone, and that was discussed at the time of adoption of the regulations. And a majority of the uses in the MIRM zone are the same as that are permitted in the existing CG20 zone. So I think there's a minimal impact caused by reducing the CG20 by the 116.29 acres. And as we discussed at the time of adoption of the regulations, some of the uses, the MIRM zoning district may be considered more restrictive than the CG20 zone. Since there were no specific criteria for mixed-use regional mall districts, staff considered the criteria in both the mixed residential and the general commercial relative to the compatibility with the surrounding residential areas, access in terms of adjacency to arterial or collector streets and transit routes, municipal water and sewer, and development on sites, slope sites, or sites containing a preponderance of wetlands or which lie within a public water supply watershed. Due to the location of lots proposed to be rezoned, the existing development thereon, the commission may reasonably conclude that the lots are appropriate for this rezoning as proposed. Uses on the lots in the new zone are compatible with the surrounding uses, including surrounding residential uses. The lots are accessed via Bacchus Avenue, which I indicated was an arterial. They are provided municipal water and sewer. And as you all know, the land is relatively flat. Any new development will continue to have to address any issues associated with the stormwater runoff and any impact to the existing drainage system. And this has been done. Ongoing maintenance of the system has been addressed during each site plan review, including the most recent ones for the change in use from the Sears to the Target store. And none of the lots are located in the public water supply watershed area. And so in conclusion, the rezoning to the MIRM zoning district is consistent with the POCD and meets the zone change criteria indicated above. And additionally, as noted by Attorney Beecher, this request represents the culmination of a planning and a zoning amendment process that has been ongoing for several years. And as a result, the staff has no objection to this request. And as usual, you have the copy of the Planning Commission report. And to approve this petition, the Zoning Commission must find this considered the POCD as required, and that the rezoning meets the zone change criteria in the regulations, and that the rezoning should result in a use of land that's in the best interests of the city and not detrimentally impact the health, welfare, and safety of the general public.
Thank you, Ms. Calitro.
Thank you.
Commission members, are there any questions of Ms. Calitro at this time? Commission members, Commissioner Botello, hand up. Unmute, please. There you
Yes, thank you. Just for clarification, after reading through the information that was sent out, I never realized that the one company doesn't own the entire mall, and now I realize that Macy's is independently owned. And there's a couple other stores. My question to Sharon, and she can unmute to discuss, but after you look at the whole concept, the whole complex, what will be the gross amount of possible units that you are going to be able to put in that building? Thinking that maybe Macy's could do it or any of the other stores that are the 75,000 plus.
Again, pursuant to the staff report, the 116.29 acres would allow for 144 residential dwelling units. 144, and unless the developer of the building or the site wants to take advantage of the housing incentive option, which is in the new regulation, and then that density could increase. But
Okay.
again, the housing incentive option is a 1-for-1, so you get one more market rate for one deed restricted affordable. But the baseline density is 144.
But the previous conversation is they're coming in with 122 units. So you're telling me that possibly there's only 20 or 24 units that are more accessible to the complete complex.
No.
We're not talking about any specific site plan today at this time.
Okay. No, but
The
we had talked about it.
the rezoning would allow for 144.
Right. And we talked about what possibly they could do at the last zoning commission hearing about this application prior, about how many units they could put there. And they were talking about like 122 units.
Maybe,
Yes.
I honestly, I don't recall. I just go by the density in the
Right,
zoning
okay.
regs. When they
Okay.
come in, when and if there's a proposal to come in,
All
we'll
right. So whether
assess that.
whether it's Macy's or it's Miss Ruby's company, there's not going to be more than 144 plus a special exception to get more.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Special exception under the housing incentive option, which
Right.
again, right, provides some affordable units, requires affordable units to get a bump in density.
I would just wanted to clarify that because they didn't own all the buildings, that the next applicant could come in as Macy's and look for about the same, but you're telling me it can't be done, so I'm satisfied with that. Thank you.
I didn't say it can't be done. What I said was that the overall site, they have reciprocal easement agreements and some development agreements, and the applicant can address this. The overall site, when you combine, because they're under control of the Danbury, the applicant, and the overall site can accommodate 144. So if somebody, hypothetically speaking, wanted to put 120 units, they'd have to put the other 22 units in another building that's more than 75,000 square feet,
And that's it.
unless they wanted to, take advantage of the HOI.
I'm satisfied with that. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Botello. So Ms. Calitro, let me ask you, is there any way to determine how many more they can add under the HIO?
Yeah, it's on it. I think it drops to, oh boy. I didn't do that. I think it's 25,000 a unit. I'm doing this by memory. I could double check while Attorney Beecher speaks. And then if it goes to, well, hold on. I'm pretty sure I am. I'll calculate it right now. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Thank
It's
you.
116.29, right, times 43,560 is an acre, divide by 25,000. 202. So 144 to 202, if I'm doing the math right. But half of the difference, 202 minus 144, so 58 additional
58
units.
58 units.
26 of which have to be deed restricted as affordable units.
Yep.
So they get a bump in the density, but the city also gets some affordable, deed restricted for 40 years affordable housing.
Okay, so max under all incentives, whatever, is 202.
I believe that's the case, yes.
Yeah, with 50, with
50.
29 of them being
Yes,
affordable.
29, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Jowdy, thank you.
Sharon, can we talk about the actual location of these units or no tonight?
We're not talking about anything specific relative to any site plan. This is just, these are the properties. Everyone included in the petition has agreed and wants to be rezoned from CG20 to the MERV district. When they want to come in with something else, they'll go through the regulations. So I have no specific plan. I mean, yeah, there's no specific plan.
could any questions be targeted towards Attorney Beecher?
Well, you can ask him conceptually, but they're not tied to any of that, as you know, right?
Okay,
So
yeah,
they could build whatever zoning can accommodate, maybe, I mean, I know there's talk about Lord and Taylor, but it might not end up being the Lord and Taylor, maybe it's one of the other bills. I really don't know anything more specific than what we've all heard and talked about, but until there's a petition, an application, and we don't.
but
You
you
know.
did say it falls within the footprint. It can't go out of the footprint.
It has to be, residential units have to go in a building that's that today is 75,000 square feet or larger. So if you think about which buildings those are, you get to draw the conclusion, right? It has
Yep,
to be
I got it.
one of the big anchors or the main building, but
We don't know, we can't speculate to the specifics, but we know what it could be and what it can't be.
right. I think the density is what
Yeah,
it's already established. You've already approved that this is this amendment to the zoning regulations. This is a zoning district in Danbury. The issue is these the lots that should be put into this district. Anything else is purely kind of speculation at this point.
Okay, thanks.
thank you, Commissioner Jody, Ms. Colicchio. Commission members, I see Commissioner Hawley.
Yep, I just got a quick question.
Sure.
So I know that the former Barnes and Noble is not part of this proposal, but I know that there's going to be a brewery, brew pub type of thing that's going to be opening up there. And I just wanted to ask, is it possible, like within this current zoning scheme, that like say Barbie's Grill could turn into a brewery as well? There, if we're looking at like a future area, we could possibly see like two breweries, the brew pub things. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could, because that's
Okay.
now use in the zone.
Okay, makes sense. It's
Yeah.
interesting timing that all happened.
Yep. You all set, Commissioner Hawley? Thank you. Commissioner Melillo.
Yes, Ms. Colicchio, your staff report mentioned the revision to the specific plans being required regarding the change of the kids club. Is that something that we need to be concerned with this evening, or is that more of an administrative issue?
I believe Attorney Beecher in his November, I don't have the agenda up for the correspondence, the last correspondence that he submitted, he actually changed those maps. But I had already done the staff report. He responded to the staff report. I didn't change the staff report again. I just said he could introduce it when he does his presentation.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm if it was something we had to address, that it was addressed. So thank you.
It's just a ministerial kind of correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Melillo, and Ms. Colicchio. Commission members, any other questions at this time? Any other questions at this time? I don't see. So let me go to anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition. Attorney Beecher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the commission. For the
Good
record, my name's Tom Beecher from the Collins Hannafin Law Firm, and I represent Danbury Mall LLC as well as its parent company, the Macerich Company. With me here tonight are Tawny Farmer, who's Vice President of Development for Macerich Company, and Maura Ruby, who's the General Manager of the Danbury Fair Mall. Almost all of you, I think all of you actually, were here when we presented the new mixed-use regional mall zone regulations, which this commission adopted. This is the final step in the process where we're here tonight to formally put this parcel of land into that newly created zone. The detailed presentations given by both the planning director and myself for the adoption of those regulations gave you a lot of background that I don't think needs to be completely repeated in this particular petition. You just heard Sharon present her report, and obviously we wholeheartedly agree with her report in support of this petition for a zone change. I'm just going to highlight some of the same background and baseline information. In terms of the ownership of the parcels, Danbury Mall LLC and MS Portfolio LLC own the largest portion of the mall properties, and those are both under the umbrella of the parent company, the Macerich Company. Macy's does own the pad that the Macy's Anchor area is on, and a company that's represents J.C. Penney's owns the pad underneath where the J.C. Penney's anchor is located. And as Sharon mentioned, the entire mall site is subject to the reciprocal easement agreement, which covers a number of obvious necessary items for interrelated parcels of land and complies with the regulations as you adopted them. And the most important thing is that all of the property owners, that includes JCPenney's and Macy's, supported the regulation change, and they all want to be in this new zone. Both we and Sharon have checked all the boxes that need to be checked off in order for this site to be included in the new zone, and for the required baseline information required by the regulations at the time of approval of this zone change. The mall site complies with all the requirements for inclusion in the MIRM zone. Again, as mentioned already, the mall properties are over 100 acres in total. The site served by municipal sewer and water. The site complies with the required setbacks and dimensional requirements in the new regulations. And the site does abut an arterial roadway and is adjacent to the interstate and Route 7 connector. We provided certain baseline information to the department and to you that's required by the new regulations. And the time to provide that we thought was now, so that you had it as well as the department has it, so that down the road when some application may be filed for certain uses, we don't have to backpedal to recreate what was in existence as of tonight. Well, the first one is the regulations have a built-in minimum amount of non-residential uses that must be maintained on this site. The regulation states that the non-residential gross building area shall not be less than 93% of the gross building area existing on the site, calculated on the date of approval of the zone change. We provided that baseline figure, which is that there must always be at least 1,467,335 square feet of gross building area devoted to commercial uses. So it's over 1.4 million square feet must always be devoted to commercial uses on this site. We provided the overall gross leasable area of each building and anchor store so that a baseline is established for determining a proper location for any future proposed residential apartments. And in answering some of the questions proposed tonight, it is in fact a maximum of 144 units that could be on site unless the housing incentive option is exercised, and a 75,000 or more square foot building, for instance, is Lord & Taylor. And, you know, we did share with the commission and other city officials some rough concept plans for that particular building. And Sharon's quite correct that if it's not that building, then perhaps it could be another building. But you don't have to worry, Mr. Patello, about 144 units in the L&T building and another 144 units in the Macy's building or the JCPenney's building. It's 144 tops on the site, as Sharon said. For purposes of the trip generation review, we provided diagrams of the mall entitled Uses in Existence on the date of approval of the zone change, which identified all those uses, which then in turn can be used down the road for any changes in uses in establishing the trip generation for the new uses, with this baseline already established for the existing uses in their existing spaces, so that retail for retail is completely fine and interchangeable, and we've got that baseline established. And yes, Kids Club ended up expanding into some additional space, And we provided that, and they got a site plan waiver, I think on November 8th, which was subsequent to when we had provided the initial information. So Sharon's correct, we needed to change the type of use that was, but then we also needed to include the new space that was included in the most recent site plan waiver. So I believe that all the correct information is on file as of tonight. For purposes of calculating the maximum wall signage allowed on the MIRM site, we did provide a 6-page document entitled Danbury Fair Mall Wall Area Sign Study, which gives the current wall signage and the maximum allowed by the regulations. And we also provided diagrams of the existing signs so that Sean or the zoning enforcement officer has all that information on file as a baseline established as of right now. So now I want to talk about some of the big picture items that relate to this petition. Like the adoption of the MIRM regulations themselves, this zone change is consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development, which recognized that the Danbury Fair Mall is an economic driver for the city of Danbury. The Economic Development Goals, Strategies, and Actions section of the POCD included strategy number 6, which states, review and update as appropriate the city's commercial zone regulations to ensure the regulations provide sufficient flexibility to allow development that responds to current and future market conditions. The MIRM regulations and this change of zone are exactly what strategy number 6 contemplated. The economic development goal chart in the POCD for strategy number 6 ranked strategy number 6 as high. Changing the zone after adopting the MIRM regulations is the final step in meeting that goal and was what we all expected to happen next after the regulations were adopted. The future land use planning section of the POCD recognizes the regional mall land use designation or zone, and the mall is specifically designated separately on the future land use map. So clearly this petition for a zone change is consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development. As Sharon also indicated, the Planning Commission found that this zone change is consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development, and they unanimously recommended approval of this zone change. They also concluded that the proposed zone change met all of the zone change criteria in the zoning regulations. Let me just go through those a little bit. Pursuant to section 10I3 of the zoning regulations, there are zone change criteria to be considered when you review a proposed zone change. The director highlighted the fact that the new MIRM zoning district was created to recognize the regional significance of the Danbury Fair Mall and to address specific issues associated with redevelopment opportunities for the mall. This proposed map change complies with the criteria in your regulations for a zone change. With respect to the suitability of the site for the particular uses allowed in the proposed zone, as stated in the director's report and set forth in the regulations, this site was the focus of the new regulations, so it does indeed meet that criteria. With respect to the compatibility of uses allowed within the proposed zone with the surrounding area, since the MIRM zone predominantly includes and maintains uses that are permitted in the CG20 zone, and this site is surrounded by CG20 zone property and some IL40 zone property and a few CA80 zone properties. This site is suitable for inclusion in the MIRM district under this criteria. In other words, it's clear that the uses allowed in the MIRM zone are compatible with the existing and permitted uses in the surrounding area. Again, because the primary purpose of adopting the new MIRM regulations was to address the present and future needs of the city of Danbury and the mall, including the site in the new zone is consistent with this criteria. And because most CG20 uses are also permitted in the new MIRM zone, there will be no impact caused by reducing the amount of land zoned CG 20 in favor of this new MIRM zone. My clients and I would just like to thank Sharon Calitro again for working collaboratively with us over the last 2 years to get to where we are tonight. And lastly, I just want to thank all of you for all of your hard work, both in the review of the information in terms of the regulations that were adopted, as well as your review of this petition for a zone change. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Beecher. Commission members, are there any questions of Attorney Beecher at this time? Commissioner Melillo, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Beecher, just I'm hoping this is a confirmation. I'm thinking it is, but I just wanted to just on the record confirm that if this amendment, or if this zone change is approved, it's not an amendment. I'm sorry. This evening, as far as administrative oversight between the department and or the zoning or the planning commission itself, that oversight remains the same as it currently is. It's just a change of zone, correct? So for example, anything site plan approval that would be administrative currently is still administrative under the new zone change. Anything that would be required to go before the planning commission would still go before the planning commission under the zone change. So as far as the oversight, that remains the same regardless of what zone it.
That remains the same pursuant to both the MIRM regulations and the overall regulations, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Melillo, Attorney Beecher. Commission members, anything else of Attorney Beecher at this moment? Commission members. Attorney Beecher, did you have, before I go to anyone else wishing to speak in favor, did you have anyone from your team that wanted to say any words, or are you good?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think we're good. Thank you, though, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. And they're also, when I call those in favor, if they want to chime in, although you may be unaware of it, they're welcome to. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Chianese, is that your hand up?
that's my hand up.
You got it. Take the floor.
I'm actually, two things. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. For the record, it's Ben Chianese, 5 Briar Ridge Road here in Danbury. I'm also a sitting council member representing the 6th Ward as well. I'm here to speak in favor of the actually zone change here for the mall. I think it would be a good fit for the ward. I think it's a good fit for the city of Danbury, and I think it meets the regulations of the regulation that was adopted last month or 2 months ago. But I'd be remiss not to again bring up one of my concerns, and hope I'm not speaking out of line here as well. Flooding in that area is still a problem, and I'm remiss to whether or not I do a new use for this property without at least having them address the flooding issue that's going on. The recent rainstorm that we had, Monday or Sunday night, did cause flooding to the mall. Again, the backside of the mall was flooded, and they had to block it off with cones. The front entrance to the mall, where the Sears entrance is, was again blocked off from flooding because the detention pond once again overflowed. And I think that's a concern that needs to be addressed with this commission. The concern will be readdressed with the planning commission, and the same concern will be readdressed with the environmental impact commission, where this application has to go in front of as well. Since it's a change of use to the zone, I think it needs to go in front of them as well. So these issues are going to be brought up to all 3 commissions, and I would just like to see if there's a plan in place to mitigate this flooding problem that's been going on for quite some time now. And we talked about it over the summer, and there's been no change. It's still flooding with a minimal amount of rain. So I think that's a concern of mine. But overall, I think the application is a good application, and I think if these concerns are addressed, I think it'd be a good for the city. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Councilman Chianese. Commission members, any questions of Councilman Chianese at this time? Let me say to the councilman, Attorney Beecher, when it goes back around to him, he's going to be answering any questions that come up on any of those in favor and those opposed. So I'm sure we'll hear from that on that issue again. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Mr. Haddad, I'd like to just mention something that I'd
Commissioner
like to.
Botello, please go.
Thank you. Just in response to Councilman Janisse, I believe that, and I not believe, but I know that the issue for the mall is a lot more than what is their concern. We have a situation that's going on with Lake Kenosha, and we all know from past experience that problems happen upstream. And so I believe that this is something that City of Danbury should be working on, as well as the mall, because the mall is just downstream from a problem that we have. So let's bring it to the point where whoever's in charge of this to make sure that they're trying to fix it upstream before it becomes a bigger problem downstream. And it just shouldn't be on the onus of the person at the end of the river, but where it begins, and that's at Lake Kenosha. That's I'd like to mention, and but those are the facts.
Thank you, Commissioner Botello. Councilman Rotello, did you have your hand up?
I did, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please, can you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Paul Rotello, 13 Linden Place, Danbury. Also, like Councilman Chinese, a representative of the 6th Ward where this proposal is located. I'd just like to echo his comments. I am generally in favor of the general project. I have some issues with some specificity, including runoff. Yes, it is a system. The west side, that area has been flooding since the Danbury Fair was there, and it's one of the reasons why their lots were permeable as opposed to impermeable. The mall was aware of this when it came in. It chose to locate there, and it chose to build impermeable surfaces. And in an area like that, the mall, in my opinion, shares the lion's share of responsibility for the drainage issues. They have a very sophisticated system for metering runoff. It's a little bit different when you have a retail mecca versus a residential mecca. There will be cars parked there at night. There will be people, unlike a store that becomes a parking lot that becomes flooded, you close the store. It's an unfortunate issue, but people don't have to go to the store that day or for the next couple of days, but they kind of have to go to their homes, and they kind of have to get out of their homes. And I would like to see if emergency services have to be used to get people in and out of those homes, which they don't have to be used now, I would like some reimbursement from the developers to the city if it requires that. Again, I appreciate Commissioner Botello's point, but it is a system that long pre-existed the mall, and they came in here under the auspices with the knowledge that this was a delicate area to build in, and they went ahead with it anyway, and the city allowed it because the use was so specified to retail. This is now different. We're talking about building dozens, 100, several hundred residential units. And the city of Danbury has long experience with issues that develop in residential units when there is flooding, whether it's at Jensen's or in downtown Danbury or anything like that. Before we pull the trigger on this, and again, I favor accommodations, I think, on the part of the petitioners should be acknowledged and should be made to the city. That being said, the city is planning, along with the Army Corps of Engineers, to at some point rectify some of these runoff matters, but the city has had long experience with the Corps of Engineers, and while we believe we're making some progress on several fronts, there's no guarantees. This is out of the city's hands. It's even out of the state's hands. I mean, we're seeing flooding on Mill Plain right now that we've never seen before, with very little rain. An inch of rain in 8 or 9 hours is a substantial amount, but it's not unheard of. It's not a 100-year flood. That you get an inch of rain these days every 2 or 3 months. We had 2 1-inch storm events in the last month here in Danbury. So we're going to be seeing more and more. I'm not going to get into climate change or reasons behind this, but whether the Corps and the state gets a handle on this anytime soon remains to be seen. So I think acknowledgement of this particular issue as it relates to putting housing in this site needs to be recognized. Again, I favor the project. I am painfully aware of what is happening on the retail landscape. I'm pleased Attorney Beecher has guaranteed, I don't want to quote him, but I think he said 93% reserved for commercial space, or 96%. Maybe he could, repeat that figure, but whatever it is, it's over 90%. And you guys all know my feelings about diluting commercial space. So keeping the overwhelming majority, almost the entire site commercial, is something that I certainly favor. I recognize the pressure on retail. I recognize the pressure on commercial space. We want to see this edifice continue to be successful, and if we need to make some course corrections to ensure that, and if this is one of them, I'm in favor of it. It has to be done responsible, and I'm not even suggesting that you're not considering doing that, but it's something that several factors have to be brought into play here as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Rotella. Commission members, are there any questions of Councilman Rotella at this time? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Councilman Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dwayne Perkins, 22 Main Street. I too am a member of the City Council representing Danbury's 5th Ward. Yeah, I, as some of my other council members, are always hesitant to make zone changes, zone amendments to the regulation. And I've always been a big supporter of the mall because I fully understand the economic impact that the mall brings in terms of retail, commercial, and some potential housing. It wasn't too long ago where we all fully vetted that round one venture that's now in the mall. So to the best of my knowledge, it's been a success. Mr. Chairman, I have a picture of a graphic that I show my students. It has a gentleman sitting in a chair pushing over a large domino with his right hand. What the picture also shows is that the dominoes wrap around the back, and you can kind of infer what's about to happen next. Unintended consequences. We know that malls are ever evolving. My concern is that malls must constantly morph into a blend of enterprise to meet market demand. Typically, once residential comes into a zone, it tends to greatly impact all other uses to follow. I don't know if there is much in the way of empirical data to support the success of these types of mixed use projects, but I'd be interested to know over time how the impact of residential affects the inclusion of retail or various types of commercial uses from that point forward. So that's just my concern, and I thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman and commissioners.
Absolutely. Thank you for speaking your mind. Commission members, are there any questions of Councilman Perkins at this time? Commission members. Thank you, Councilman Perkins. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Hey, I do.
Who's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand, Commissioner
You
Bennett.
see my hand, it's been up.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Bennett. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm surprised that this is an issue now, because in every building that I built, wetlands was involved, and it was my responsibility to take the water off the property. And we're talking about Corps of Army Engineers that come in, it's their responsibility. In my history of building, it was always my responsibility as the owner, future owner, to take care of a water problem. 2 days after our meeting, when we first talked about this project, that mall, the property, the road that runs against that swamp was flooded 2 days afterwards. So there is definitely a water problem there. And I would think wetlands, I assume we have a wetlands commission in Danbury, do we?
Of course.
Okay, so I would think they would be involved with it right now. That is a concern of mine. Other than that, I love the project. I think Danbury needs it. I think it's a great thing for them all. But that responsibility should be shifted from the city Corps of Engineer to the builders of that project. So let's say.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? So I will go back to Attorney Beecher if you want to address any of those questions that came up.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'll start with the last point. When we secured approval for the Target project going into the old Sears space at the mall, we did in fact go to the EIC, which is the City of Danbury's Wetlands Commission, and got approval there. And as part of the site plan review process, the city engineering department reviewed the site and they gave us feedback, and that was incorporated into the approval issued by the Planning and Zoning Department. And as part of that whole process, certain maintenance was done on the stormwater management facilities, and some work was to be done on, I'm not sure the exact two ponds, but in any event, some pond work was to be done. So as Sharon indicated in her report, there is ongoing review, there's ongoing cooperation between the owners of the mall and the city of Danbury in terms of continuing review and maintenance and looking forward in terms of ways to improve the treatment of any stormwater issues that arise when there's the more heavy rains that we seem to get more often than we used to. There's never a time when the Lord and Taylor site itself is subject to high waters. In other words, if there was a proposal for apartments to go into that building, people can get to that portion of the site from the Seeger Street side of the mall, from the Bacchus Avenue side coming in around Macy's all the time. The L&T site is above the floodplain. That's only over on the west side of the mall. So there is no issue with EMS. There's no issue with people getting home. You know, the portions that were talked about are over on the west side of the mall. I'm not sure exactly how long that takes before they recede after the rain stops. But with all due respect, and I do thank Councilman Perkins and Councilman Rotello and Councilman Shinisi for their support tonight. I do thank them for that, speaking in favor of this application. But with all due respect, this commission adopted the regulations. The regulations are in place. This petition is to simply place this 116 acres into the new zone that was created. There is no site plan before you tonight for your review and approval. So some of these issues were discussed last time. We're happy to talk about them again, but your vote tonight is not to approve a residential use in the Lord and Taylor building, because that's not a proposal that's been officially filed as of tonight. But I hope I've given you all the answers that you were looking for.
Attorney Beecher, you good?
I'm good, I think,
Okay.
unless I missed something.
Yeah, well, let me just say, going back to Councilman Rotello, that number was 93%.
Correct. Yes.
And I think Commissioner Melillo has his hand up.
Yeah, Attorney Beecher, I wanted to thank you for that response regarding the concerns I raised this evening, and also earlier with the original amendment change regarding the flooding component of the mall. I'm going to echo your statement, being somebody who's lived in Danbury, actually pretty much since the mall opened, and prior to it. I can tell you that I myself, on many of those flooding issues, have been able to drive by the old Lord and Taylor building to get over closer to the garage when other aspects were impassable. I think, and I know this isn't really in front of us tonight, so we really don't need to discuss it, but I just wanted to mention, I think one of the concerns is a potential of maybe some of the parking areas. And so down the road, it may be wise just if no improvements are needed regarding the leveling of off of that just let people know on some heavy flood concerns. There may be water issues, like Green Tree Toyota over on Federal Road. They move their cars over every once in a while when the concern comes in. I think that's kind of what some of the sentiment and the concerns might be. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to mention, I think I agree with you that it's not impacting the building at all, but I think there could be a potential impact maybe on some residents who may not be familiar with that property and parking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Melillo. Commission members, any other commission members of Attorney Beecher at this time? Commission members. I'll ask a couple times to make sure that I see hands this time. Commission members, anything? Commission members. Thank you, Attorney Beecher. Let me just see if Ms. Calicio has any final thoughts, comments, anything?
No, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. I have no
You're
further.
good?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So commission members, we're set here unless anyone has any more questions. We probably want to entertain a motion to close this public hearing for this evening. Commission members, what's your pleasure? Commissioner Melillo.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Commission members, we have a motion by Commissioner Melillo to close the public hearing, second by Commissioner Hylinski. Any discussion, commission members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I don't hear or see any opposition. This public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Mr. Haddad.
Commissioner Melillo.
I would like to make a motion to move this to item number 2 under old business for discussion and possible action.
Commission members, there's a motion by Commissioner Melillo to move the petition of the Danbury Mall LLC 7 Bacchus Avenue. Public hearing opened on November 28th, 2023, closed on November 28th, 2023 to number 2 under old business for discussion and possible actions. There a second? Second by Commissioner Hawley. Any discussion? Not hearing or seeing any discussion. A yes is yes to move it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? I don't see or hear any opposition. So this will appear as number 2 under old business for discussion and possible action. Thank you. We do not have any continuation of any public hearings this evening, and we do have two petitions now, but our first petition under old business for discussion and possible action is a petition of Bright Ravens is Danbury LLC to amend sections 5B 2A and 5B4 of the zoning regulations in parentheses add hotel to apartment house mixed use with specific use requirements as a permitted use in the CA80 zone. So please pardon me for a moment. Sorry. We did get notification that Commissioner Mejia will not be able to make it this evening. So that leaves us with 8. And is there anybody here, Ms. Calicio, for the record, that has to announce that they've seen and watched and read?
I believe Commissioner Bennett needs to go on the record that he.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bennett, did you, you're up to speed? You watched the tapes, watched the film and read the
But you
document?
have to unmute. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Please
first.
unmute so we can hear you for the record.
Yeah, yes, I did. I watched it. Yep.
Thank you. I'm going to just mute myself for a second here. I'm sorry. I talked too much. I got too dry. I talked too much. Okay, commission members, the petition of Bright Ravens. We have 8 people here that are qualified. So who wants to start first on this? Is there a motion for discussion purposes? Conversation? Commissioner David.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to open for discussion before we vote.
Sure. So you want to make a motion to approve the petition for discussion or to deny the petition for discussion? What do you want to do?
Deny the petition for discussion.
So there's a motion to deny the petition. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Mr. Haddad,
Commissioner Melillo.
I will second the motion offering some reasons if it's okay with Commissioner David.
Sure, go ahead.
Would be, yes.
So I will second the motion in the fact that the amendment is inconsistent with the future land use map in the plan of conservation and development, which classifies the CA80 zone as a commercial corridor that does not permit dwelling units. Also, this amendment does not transform the CA80 zone into a mixed-use district. It instead creates a new use that will only be allowed in 2 specific sites in the CA80 zone. For set reason number 2, since at least 2007, both residential uses and fast food restaurants have been specifically prohibited in the CA80 zone, and this has proven to be a prudent decision as the traffic volume and congestion on Mill Plain Road has only increased due to the development of the west side. And then a third reason, both of the sites that meet the criteria in this petition are located in areas that are not pedestrian friendly and are far from neighborhood amenities and mass transit, meaning the residents would require the use of a car, thus creating additional traffic along a heavily congested corridor. Any new use being introduced in the CA80 zone should provide expert documentation that use will not exacerbate the existing traffic situation. I know they submitted a traffic report, but I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more regarding maybe an improvement plan, because even existing traffic in that on Mill Plain Road is heavily congested, and so therefore I would want to hope to see it improved. For the record, that's, by the way, is reasons number 1, 2, and 4 given from the Planning Commission negative recommendation.
That's right. Thank you. I'm just looking for that in my pile right now. Planning Commission. Got it. So you're taking 1, 2, and 4 from there.
Yeah, I was hesitant to imply anything regarding a special exception, since I didn't want to signal any future down the roads.
Okay.
I could see that coming back to bite us on the end side.
Thank you. Commission members, there's a motion to deny with reasons made by the person is seconded, accepted by the motion maker. So now let's open up for discussion. Commission members, who wants to start off with some discussion?
I would.
Commissioner Bennett, go ahead, please.
At the last meeting, Lisa Sales made a great reason why it should be passed and why that should be rental units rather than a hotel. And I'm going to do the same thing. As a businessman in the Danbury city and the area, what we lack is affordable housing for workers. In my dealership right now, I have 4 single moms that would love to have a place like this to live in. They can't afford $2,500 a month. They can afford $1,200 a month. So they live at home, or they live with a husband they don't want to be with. There's too many reasons why I believe that project should happen. And the other thing is, for Danbury, we don't have a city or town around us that believes anywhere close to multiple family housing. Brookfield doesn't have anything. Newtown Bethel, they go to New York. They don't have anything either. So where do these young people go? Where do they migrate to? I'll tell you where. The Carolinas and Florida. You can't imagine what I have to go through to hire people. And I don't know who in this committee has a business, but you got to be faced the same thing that I'm faced with. You can't find housing. So, and I understand the traffic. I go up that road 10 times a week. My daughter lives in Rivington, so I'm on that road all the time. I don't foresee any increased traffic happening. The entrance to get onto 84 is right there. If you go down the hill, I don't see where there's going to be a problem. Some more cars, absolutely. But the more cars are what we needed to grow the city. Here we're looking to put some housing in the mall for 144 units, and these people that are building this unit want to do 122. That's what Danbury needs. You need a place to get these people to live. So hopefully you'll change your thoughts, your minds, and think about the individual that's looking for a place to live and pass this thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Hawley.
Yep. Yeah, just to carry that on, I appreciate Commissioner Bennett's opinions on that. And yeah, Danbury is having an affordable housing crisis. People my age are fleeing the area, and we are losing a lot of talent. We're not necessarily planning for the future because people cannot literally afford to live here. I believe this project right here is a step in the right direction, and it's also going to be helping our city out too, because we're going to be expanding our affordable housing supply, especially in a market that we are only having 4% of housing in. That's the studio apartments. We can expand that if we approve projects like this, and we forward think towards a lot of the different economic models that are coming forward to us. For example, the mall, which we just approved, or we're going to be working with possibly approving. It's a similar economic model of trying to use what we have, but try to make it so it lasts into the future. We need to be forward thinking here, and I really hope my fellow commissioners can see that and support, not support this motion, but support getting this actually established. I supported this in the past, and I will continue to support it today, and I will be voting against this motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Botello.
Yes, I'd like to make a couple comments. Basically, I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on this application because it is important to look at to see what the merits are, and I put a lot of time into it. First, I want to thank Mr. Beecher about the fact that his presentation was thorough. He spent a lot of time on it, put a lot of thought into it. And so it made it that much tougher to really analyze it and look at the pros and the cons. So basically what I wanted to do was to go back to see, okay, I'm a newbie. So what is the CA80 zone? Well, it's described as the artillery commercial district, which is the purpose intent of the town planners was that this district is to provide general and heavy commercial uses in appropriate locations along major roadways of the city. In the general plan, this application that you want to make it so it's not a special exception, it's going to slip by. And right now there are 47 permitted uses in that zone and 21 special exceptions. But if you read through all of the special exceptions and the uses, this zone was designed to support residential. And the town planners did a lot of time and effort to design a city. And the city works when everything functions. And you can't have situations where you're going to impede situations like this zone, where you're going to try to sneak in a residential application, which we'll talk about in a couple of seconds. But basically, it's going to be so different than anything else that's close to that. The only thing that's even possibly close would be a nursing home. We know that doesn't comply. That's different. This is basically a radical application. It's radical in the fact that you're asking to do something that's different, that's never been done before. You're asking to have it's going to be play and live and work at the same facility. You're talking about 198 units. The number that was just brought out before by Mr. Bennett was a little wrong. It's 198 units. These units are 350 square feet. So that means that they're basically just about a little bit bigger than SROs, which are single room occupancies. They're 1-bedroom units that are going to be used for one person, so that you're not going to have the ability to put couples in there. And so that the biggest problem that I have is that I was looking through when I took my swearing in, part of it is that, read verbatim, is that it's important for us on the commission to give total transparency and accountability. And I believe that it's our job to protect the people around, which are not going to have an ability to say anything about this application, because it's not going to be going into special exception. It's going to go right into the zoning, which means that there's not going to be a time for the people from Rivington or anyone else around there to come up and question. There's not going to be a time for the planning commission to do their due diligence and to come up and figure out why they're going to be short on the open space and the amount of parking spaces that they need. And just, it's going to open up a situation that's going to be possibly a problem coming down with other hotels like the Holiday Inn. So that for all these reasons, and the big part is that we have to be accountable. And I believe that if this commission approves this, there's going to be a lot of angry people out there because of the lack of transparency, that they weren't part of this. And if you bring it back and it went before the planning commission, and the planning commission gave you all the regulations that they wanted, it was open to the public for a public hearing, and they decided that this is what they wanted, then I would go along with it. But I can't in due diligence be able to say that I am on the side of getting this approved. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Botello, I understand exactly what you're saying. However, regarding the last time this appeared before us and this time, it was publicly noticed. Everybody was aware of it. It's in the paper, the radio. So people that wanted to speak from anywhere in the city and outside of the city, in Rivington and not Rivington, everybody was aware of this and had a chance to come and speak. And while I'm speaking about it, no, actually, I'll speak last. I generally always speak last, so I'll speak last. But I did want to just refresh your memory on that. Everyone, the public, we were transparent in publicly posting this and having these public hearings. And interestingly, this was being heard twice within 90 days or 120 days, something like that. So it was out there. Commissioner Melillo, go ahead. I didn't know if I saw somebody else say. Commissioner Bennett, did you want to say anything again, or did you just not take your hand off the thing in time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I took my hand off. I'm done.
You're good. Go ahead. Commissioner Melillo, please.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to echo some of my thoughts from the last time this was in front of us. The last time I had mentioned that it's an intriguing idea. However, a couple things. One, we as Mr. Botello mentioned, we as a commission have historically protected the CA80 zone to keep it commercial and to shield it from residential. There were some people who that was one of the biggest concerns in regards to the homeless shelter. What impact that would have, from a residential standpoint, and a couple of years ago when we were having that discussion, and so we have as a commission actively sought to protect the CA80 zone, and I want to continue to do that. I think it's important for us to continue to protect that commercial cove there. Secondly, I mentioned prior, I reiterated in the reasoning the congestion issue with Mill Plain Road, and I think right now our infrastructure our infrastructure on Mill Plain cannot handle what we have existing. I alluded to again a couple months ago. We know we have apartments coming down the pike from Summit. We know the reserve hasn't fully been built out yet. So there are still residential units outside of the CA80 zone that are still going to greatly impact that Mill Plain corridor. And I'm hesitant to without I'm not saying the work needs to be done before anything really is given, but I think there really needs to be a hard, concrete plan in place, not maybe someday we're going to, but an actual plan that we know is going to be implemented to address some of those traffic concerns. And I know it's a state road and it's a state need, and maybe pressure needs to be put on the state by some individuals who are looking to help improve from a developmental standpoint there, pressure the state saying, hey, we're stuck because the infrastructure can't handle it. You need to do something. And then I would also encourage us to protect the CA80 zone. And I was trying to look real quickly. I don't know if there's a way off the top of my head to redraw some of the zone boundaries, because I know there's residential close by, to protect the CA80 zone from a residential encroachment. But that's really where I'm standing right now. The two main points is protecting the CA80 zone and also just recognizing that the infrastructure on the Mill Plain corridor already can't handle what's there, and we just need to be very careful as to what we do to increasing that.
Thank you. So, Commissioner Melillo, if I would agree with that, if this was a parcel that was starting as just a vacant piece of land, adding 188 units or 100 and whatever the number is here, but you got a hotel with 250 units that has fully occupied, people coming in and out of it all day, in and out of it all day, and you have a proposal to go residential where maybe they leave for work in the morning and they come home at night, and they do have some trips in between, but it's a type of a scenario where some of the tenants of the facility may also be living there and not even using their car, maybe not even owning a car. So as far as traffic goes, it's a hotel now with 250 units. It's going to be a hotel if we deny it. So there's going to be residences here, which are close to SROs. So let me start my comments by reminding everybody that everybody knows me pretty much as a wacko by thinking outside of the box and coming up with crazy ideas. So I'm going to start by saying that I don't think this petition is a perfect petition, and I agree with a lot of the things that Ms. Calitro was saying. However, if the biggest damage that can come from us approving this tonight is that this hotel becomes apartments and the Hilton Gardens become apartments, what that does is it fulfills the need in the community for this type of housing unit. And it also can help the other hotels that have occupancy problems by taking 500 hotel units off the market, basically, and strengthening those other hotels and getting their occupancy units. Regarding other hotels coming into us on a case-by-case basis, the Holiday Inn and anybody else, this commission has never had a problem telling anybody no. We say yes, we say no. We have 9 independent people from different walks of life that come here on this commission, and they make decisions, and we listen to the pros and the cons, and we look at the documents and the exhibits, and we decide. So we've never had a problem saying yes or no to whatever petition deserved that answer. So I don't see it as being a chain effect all the way down the line. There may be a chain effect of people coming in and asking, and if we think it's appropriate, we'll say yes. If we think it's not, we'll say no, but we shouldn't fear that. I think that, like I said, it's not a perfect petition. I don't want to get anybody angry at me, but I'm a little upset at the fact that there was a couple things that the petitioner could have done that would have made it easier for us, that came by request of our planning director. But what it is what it is. So even though I'm looking at a not perfect petition, I'm thinking that a approval of this would do much more good, because it's really, really needed. Danbury really is short of the small SRO units and the efficiency units. Regarding Commissioner Bennett, listen, all of the surrounding towns dump in Danbury's lap, and Danbury does an excellent job of doing what nobody else is doing. Okay, whether it's multifamily, commercial, attached housing, industrial. I remember when we changed, I think, the industrial use over a Commerce Park to allow Dunkin' Donuts to cook their food and the popcorn company to make popcorn there. I mean, that was a progressive move. It wasn't allowed at one point in time, and I think we passed that. We've done a lot of good things here. Our planning director, when very upset, is retiring, is just such an unbelievable asset to Danbury and everyone else that surrounds Danbury. So yeah, we get a lot of stuff dumped in our laps, and I think we do a great job with it. And I think this that came to us from a independent developer, separate developer, is that they're proposing, I think, can do a lot of good for this community. So I am saying that I see good and bad in the words that are printed on the paper that make up the petition, but looking at the downside of it, so what if we have these two hotels that become residential housing units? I don't see it as a problem. Anyway, anybody have any questions of me? Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Commissioner Jowdy, Commissioner Hylinski, Commissioner Jowdy, go ahead.
Yes, Ted, why you keep on saying two buildings? It's not
Well,
two buildings.
I think this
Is a possibility of two?
This petition, the way that this petition was carved, I believe through the testimony, it would be the only ones that would qualify based on acreage and size and density would be this and the one that's on the Danbury, New York line, which I think they call Hilton Gardens. Any commission members, if that's correct or not, let me know. But I think it's the Hilton Gardens. That's the one where if you pull out of this project down the end of the road, hang a left, you're on your way to Brewster. Before you get to the commuter lot on the left, it's the last piece of property in Danbury, I think, before Mrs. Farrington's land. I think that's a Hilton Gardens. So the way this is designed, it would only include these two, and nobody even knows if they're going to do it. But so there's a limit as to how this would affect. Yeah, it's changing the CA80 zone. It's changing the CA80 words. It's changing the CA80 zone as it is right now. But those would be the only two parcels that it would include.
Could I mention something? My hand is up.
Yeah, let me just see if Commissioner Jowdy's done first. Commissioner Jowdy,
a couple of things. I heard the goods and the bads of this application. It seems like you have this place, you could have another one. You're talking about the mall with housing. When does it stop? You remember, Ted, and many other people, the moratorium we put on building and condominiums and so forth. It's a concern with the traffic, with the school system and so forth. But I'm going to reserve my right to make an opinion right now, but there's just a couple thoughts from what I've been hearing.
Thank you. Commission members, anything of Commissioner Jowdy? Commissioner Botello.
Yes, just one question that we had from Sharon, that there was some thoughts that possibly the Holiday Inn could follow in this path of getting approvals, or they were questioning it. Could you just reiterate on that?
Well, and yeah, I'll let Ms. Calitro address that. Go ahead. Ms. Calitro, did you want to?
Yes, yep, I'm here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I indicated, and it was on the record during the public hearing, and it's in my staff report that we were city officials were there was an inquiry from the new owners of the Holiday Inn as to whether or not the city would allow apartments on the site that they just bought. So there is potential interest. They were told, obviously, they're in the CG20 zone, which doesn't allow it. So, we told them that they couldn't do that in the zone.
So Commissioner Botello specifically answering that as well is the Holiday Inn would not be able to do it if this petition got approved tonight. They're in two different zones.
But they could come up with an application like what we have tonight before us and say, okay, with the CG twinning.
So they wouldn't automatically fall. They're in a CG20 zone. I lost you for a second there. They're in a CG20 zone, and this is not a CG20 zone. Anybody anywhere in any industrial zone, if there's a hotel, if in the commercial zone, CG20 zone, anybody anywhere can come in at anything. In fact, the way the regulations run in Danbury is somebody can ask for a zone change on a piece of property that they don't own. So, so yeah, they can. So what we would do is, what I would proposed to do is not my creation and not my invention. We sit down, we entertain an application, we sit and we listen to those in favor, those opposed, listen to the documents, listen to the exhibits, and decide on it, yes or no. Just because they all want to do that, we can have somebody come in and say, I want to put a 15-story building on my property and on Main Street somewhere. Well, the regulations don't allow it, but come on in, give it a shot. We'll tell them yes, we'll tell them no. So I don't think.
No, my only thought process is that the town planner spent a lot of time and they put zones in that would be residential and commercial, and they were supposed to be in reflective of each other to help each other, so that once you start impeding in one zone, what's to stop it from another zone? Say, hey, well, if they did it for that zone, we should at least try it. And before you know it, it's something that it gets out of control. That's all my thought is.
I totally understand what you're saying. And this commission always, when we see a piece of property, we look and we say, well, what happens if we extend the RA20 line to someone here? What happens if the domino effect down the road? We always consider things like that. We did that on Sugar Hollow Road. We did that. We do that on Newtown Road. There were some parcels. We always have to take that into consideration, and we cannot deny anybody their right to want to come in and make their property a higher and best use, which is actually what this petitioner is doing. But I don't think the commissioner should fear at any point in time somebody coming in and proposing something, so we have to take action on something that's before us now because we're afraid somebody else is going to ask for it. Well, if they're entitled to it, we'll say yes. If they're not, we'll say no. And the other thing is, yes, the planners always put a lot of time in these creations, but it's almost like things come across our desk that it's like there's an ordinance that you can't drink a beer while riding a horse at 12 noon on Main Street, and that's so old and it's in the books. Geez, we didn't even realize it's there. Let's get rid of it. Things change, and many times we're hearing things for the first time, and many times we're a part of things that are changing. So we just we're looking at something brand new here.
Well, I can appreciate it. It's like I said, it's a radical request because it's so different in many respects. And so, but we have to be careful that we don't get into isolated zoning. Whereas this is, it's like we can do it for one place in the middle of the whole zone. And now we've got isolated zoning.
Well, the news is it affects only 2 parcels. If we all like this enough, and that's the trade-off, then fine. If we don't like it at all, then we vote no. Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Botello, I didn't cut you off.
No, that's fine. No, thank you.
Commissioner Bennett.
This concept is not a new concept at all. It's been used in California for years because they have similar problems, but bigger. They have no room for housing. So what they've done is what they plan to do in Danbury is take an old building that's fallen apart, renovate it, and rent it out. And it works. With the innovations business that's going to be downstairs, you're going to bring some great people into Danbury. So we haven't even talked about that part of their business plan, but that's what they're going to do there. But it's not a new concept. It's been around for a long time, very successful.
I meant new to us. Commissioner Hylinski, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Melillo, sorry. Go ahead. Unmute.
I'll yield to Commissioner Hylinski first if she wants to. That'll be her first, and this is my second.
Okay, sure. Commissioner Hylinski, did you want to go?
Well, I'm just sitting here listening to the pros, the cons, everyone speaking. But I just was wondering if we're going to be opening up Pandora's box. So it's a lot to think about. And there's a lot of good points being made. But as far as the petition is concerned, I don't know. I'm just thinking that this might be something that I would have to go along with the no's.
Thank you. Commissioner members, anything of Commissioner Hylinski? Commissioner Melillo, you got it.
Yes, I'm sorry. I actually meant to add this. So I was thinking about this earlier. And I think this is in relationship to what Commissioner Botello was saying in regards to the Planning Commission. And I think Mr. Haddad, you and I had heard it a little bit differently, because I agree wholeheartedly with you what you were saying regarding this petition before us, regarding the changing and all that, the conversion, was noted. However, I think when he was talking about the planning commission, I think it was in reference to the third reason number 3, which was the denial that the planning commission had given, where it said that this should be a special exception use versus a permitted use that would allow the planning commission discretion to ensure the mix of uses would not be detrimental to the area. I think that was where he was referring to in this aspect of all of a sudden a change occurs. And it was, because it was an allowed use and not a special exception use, that would have necessitated a public hearing to allow the community to weigh in on it. Let's face it, as much as we hate it, there is a lack of knowledge at times regarding what this commission does. If you want the best example, we just look at the summit space with with what's the name of the moving Clancy with that whole Clancy proposal. It was noted, it was publicized, we had a public hearing. It was, in the public hearing, it was noted this is a use being approved in the site plan, and it really didn't get a whole lot of attention. And now there's a whole section of our community that was up in arms about it, felt as though it was done with no transparency, because it was the way it was done through a site plan or through the PND regs. The PNs, making it into one of those planned neighborhood developments with the site plan approval there, but it wasn't specifically that was a notice. And I could see something similar maybe happening in this one, or maybe not this one, but with the Hilton Gardens. If we approve it, the Hilton Gardens, it could become an administrative without allowing any community weigh in. And so while I purposefully did not include that in one of my reasons that I cited, because I didn't want to imply that this commission was saying it should be a special exception use, because that could therefore maybe tie this commission down the road, where if it comes back as a special exception use, they can turn around and say, well, you told us this should be a special exception use, so now you have to approve it. And that's what I was looking to avoid by not including it on my reason. However, under discussion, I think it also benefits us to recognize that that should people be leaning towards approving this, we may want to consider that should it be a special exception use, as a lot of other similar aspects in this scenario would be, versus just a general allowed use that would not go before the planning commission and allow public input. Public input is a good thing, and I think whenever we can allow for public input, we should encourage that and not deny it.
Thank you. Commission members, anything of Commissioner Melillo at this time? Any questions of his comments? Anyone else have any comments? Commissioner Hawley, I see your hand.
Commissioner Melillo, would you support this motion if it were a special exception?
If I was satisfied with traffic on the CA and on Mill Plain Road, I would be willing to consider it as an introduction with the CA80 zone. But in the current standing right now, or even 2 months ago or 6 months ago, whenever it was, no. But that's not to say if I was on the commission a year and a half from now and there were improvements were made improving the Mill Plain corridor, then I would be open to it. I don't want to say, first of all, I'm not going to be on the commission, so it doesn't matter. But secondly, I don't want to say I would definitively, but it would not be an automatic no.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commission members, anything else? Anything else, commission members? Anything else, commission members? So we have a motion. Hold on. We have a motion to deny with reasons, and a second. So I'm going to do the commission members.
I have a quick question first.
Commissioner Hawley?
Yep, I just wanted to confirm with Commissioner David if he entertained the motion just for discussion purposes, or if that was an actual motion. Curious if he was willing to withdraw his motion.
Commissioner David,
hit me with that again.
you made a motion. You made a motion for discussion purposes, and it was seconded with
Discussion and action.
The question to you is: Are you staying with your motion to deny, or did you want to withdraw it now that there was discussion?
No, I'm staying with my motion.
Commissioner Hawley, you set?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission members unmute.
Mr. Haddad,
Yes, Commissioner Malillo.
just as a technicality, can I ask Mr. David if he agreed with I don't know if we ever got on the record whether or not he agreed with the reasons I had inserted from the planning commission. I think since he was the motion maker, it would be helpful if just to have him.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
noted for the
Commissioner
record.
David, the second by Commissioner Malillo, he added reasons to your denial, motion to deny. Are you willing to accept them as your reasons as a motion to deny?
Yeah, absolutely. Plus Sharon's recommendation not to approve. Yeah.
Thank you. You good, Commissioner Malillo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Haddad.
For the record. Okay, so a yes is to deny. A yes is to deny. Commissioner David.
I vote yes to deny.
Commissioner Malillo.
Yes, deny.
Commissioner Bennett.
No, to deny.
Commissioner Botello.
Yes, to deny.
Commissioner Hawley.
No.
Commissioner Jowdy.
The way that you put the votes, I'm confused
I'll
now.
go over it again. A yes is to deny. A yes is
It's
to
deny
agree
the
with
motion.
to deny.
Yep, okay.
So you're yes to deny.
I'm denying the motion.
Okay. No, you're voting yes in agreeing to deny the motion.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Hylinski.
Yes, to deny.
And I will vote no. Did we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? We got 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses to deny. 3 are in opposition to that motion. So this petition is denied. 5-3. Let me move to number 2 under old business for discussion of possible action. It's a petition of Danbury Mall LLC, 7 Bacchus Avenue, F16015, F16014, F17014, F17015, F17002, F17002-2, F17002-3 for change of zone from CG20 to MIRM, Mixed Use Regional Mall. The public hearing was open on November 28, 2023, and it was closed on November 28, 2023. Commission members. Everyone remember this petition? It wasn't that long ago. Commissioner Malillo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Haddad. I guess this will be my potentially my final motion, but definitely my final motion regarding a petition before the zoning commission. I will make a motion to approve this petition with the reasons stated in the planning commission recommendation. Number 1, this complies with the Plan of Conservation and Development, POCD, which recognized the Danbury Fair Mall as an important economic driver for the city and recommended a consideration of flexibility and zoning to accommodate future needs of the city. The Danbury Fair Mall lots were designed on the future land use map as appropriate for inclusion in a regional mall category. Reason number 2, these lots are appropriate for rezoning because this complies with the zone change criteria and the zoning regulations. The uses on the lots in the new zone would be compatible with surrounding uses, including residential uses. The lots are accessible via Bacchus Avenue and Arterial Street. Municipal water and sewer services are provided to the developed site, and the land is relatively flat. And then number 3, additionally, any new development will have to address issues associated with stormwater runoff and the impact, if any, to the existing drainage system, series of ponds around the perimeter. Ongoing maintenance of the stormwater system has been addressed during each site plan review, most recently for site changes associated with the Target retail store application. Lastly, the lots are not located in public water supply shed areas. And I would just note that that is addressing the health, safety, and welfare issues in regards to the zoning criteria. So that last statement connects to satisfy the health, safety, welfare.
Thank you, Commissioner Malillo. Is there a second? Is Motion, by the way, there's a motion made by Commissioner Malolo to approve with reasons. Is there a second?
Yes,
I'm sorry, there's a second by Commissioner Botello.
yes, I would second that. In addition, I'd like to just mention that I believe this is just the necessary second step to reclassifying the mall for future development, which is greatly needed, and we've all agreed that was so important from the last hearing. So that we wish you the best, and we want to make sure that we're supportive, and I believe that we're in the right direction.
Thank you. Commission members, there's a motion with reasons and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Malillo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Haddad. Just for discussion purposes, I wanted to note a couple things. One, this location is different than the location we issued earlier with the ease of access with the entrance ramp for 84 Route 7. While there's heavy traffic around the Christmas season, normal traffic is not as conducive as some other corridors in Danbury. So I think this can accommodate the use a little bit better, especially from the residential, because it's if that is added, so it's not as drastic change as maybe another one would have been. And secondly, I just also wanted to note that while we aren't looking at any site plan petitions or even any definitive residential impacts, it was noted that should any residential development occur on this site, it would be the type of residential development that would not greatly impact our school district, because it wouldn't be potentially targeting school age families. It's a different population. So therefore, our already stretched and overburdened school system could potentially be spared from this positive impact, which would help meet some of the potential affordable housing arrangements and other needs that have been addressed earlier that the city desires.
Thank you. Commission members, any other discussion? Commission members, any other discussion? The commission members would unmute your mics. We'll take a voice vote. A yes is yes, a no.
Point of record, Mr. Haddad, can we do a voice, or is this one that we need to do a roll call?
Oh, that's what I'm doing. I wanted to hear the voice on a roll call.
Okay, well, when you said a voice vote, that's usually.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I wanted to do a roll call and hear their voices when they call their names. Okay, Commissioner Malillo.
Yes.
Commissioner Botello.
Yes.
Commissioner David.
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
Commissioner Hawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Hylinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Jowdy.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got everybody. 8-0. This petition is approved. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an excellent presentation, well deserved, and it's hopefully your future is bright. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Let's see. We have no new business. We have no correspondence. We have nothing under for reference only. And are there any other matters? Ms. Calitro.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and as you may have heard or read and heard from Chairman Haddad, I will be retiring at the end of February. And I just wanted to say to the outgoing members of the Zoning Commission, it's a great working with you for the last more than 2, some of you way more than 2 years, and working for the city. And so I wanted to thank you for volunteering to be on this commission and working really hard and being thoughtful in all of your decisions. So I just want to see everybody, because I don't know if I'll see you before I leave. So that was it.
Was I not supposed to say
work?
And we cannot talk you out of this, right?
No.
Ms.
Thank
Calitro, I'm sorry if was I not supposed to say anything? I thought it was public record.
It is
It's on the-
public.
it's in the paper.
It's in the
paper today.
Yeah, but I just wanted to talk to the outgoing commission members. So
Oh,
I
okay.
see again.
I'm
And,
sorry. if
I mean, I may see you in a different place in the council or wherever, but for those who Angie and Milan, who I might not see so often, It's been great working with everybody.
Please talk her out of it.
Yeah. So let me say that this is to Commissioner. Let me start by saying to Commissioner Melillo. We've had, I think, only 6 chairmen since the zoning commission ever began, and you were one of them. And I always regarded you as brilliant. You've always done your research. You ran a tremendous meeting. I served as a commissioner under you, and I served as a vice chairman under you. And I think you're in the top 2 commissioners of the city of Danbury's ever had for the zoning commission. That top 2 chairman. So I want to appreciate all the hard work that you've done for the city. And I hope I'm only saying goodbye temporarily, because as I told you personally off the record, what you have up here is just too much to not continue to use and to contribute. So I want to thank you for that, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you on behalf of the city and of the commission. Commissioner Hylinski, I'm going to miss you. You brought a lot to the table. You brought great questions, a unique perspective on a lot of things. We shared the commission. We shared good times. We shared bad times. And in doing so, that made us friends, and that made us family. And you're one of my good friends, and I'll always appreciate you on this commission and all the hard work that you do for the city of Danbury.
Thank you.
Well,
He's making me cry.
no, it's not supposed to be that way, but I have a special place for Commissioner Hylinski, who I'll call Angie for the first time publicly tonight. Angie, thank you for everything. Commissioner David, Commissioner Rea, I appreciated all of the contributions. Commissioner David, you always talk about thinking outside of the box, like I referred to myself as doing before. You always brought a question to the table that was new, brand new, something that required another look-see and further consideration. Again, I regard you as I appreciate everything that you've done for the city of Danbury and your intentions and wanting to serve as hard as you can. Commissioner Rea, I wish he was here. I want to thank him also. I'll give him a call as well. And Commissioner Mejia, she got called on a lot as her alternate position because we had some absentees in the regular group. Commissioner Hawley, I'm upset with you because you left us, but you're staying around on the council. And I think the council is going to do very well with you, seeing what you did on this commission. And I don't want to just throw the word out without having much backing behind it, but your comments at times were just brilliant in what you thought of and the questions he'd asked. So to everyone that I just mentioned, I appreciate making the commissions flow. I appreciate your contributions and all of your feedback. I appreciated the way you went at it to the petitioner when you needed to look for answers, all in the interests of 83,000 people in Danbury. And Danbury has become a spot where the surrounding communities also look to us. So our decisions go beyond our borders, and you all here, we all together played a part in that. So I have time to say my goodbyes to Ms. Calitro. So there are some commission members here that may not, and I'll yield the floor to anyone else that has any comments tonight. Commissioner Melillo.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad. I want to thank you for those kind words. And I wanted to also thank you. I'm sure you remember, but you actually nominated me for my first role, stint as chairman. So yes. It was it was my honor that night to have you nominate me, a member from the other party, which goes into what I'm about to say. I've said regularly, unfortunately, we're elected officials and elections tie to political parties, which can be partisan at times. However, I've always believed there are two elected positions in the city of Danbury, which really should be nonpartisan political positions: the Board of Education and the Zoning Commission. And the only the only partisan vote, truthfully, unfortunately, but truthfully, those two commissions should ever consider is the leadership, the chairmanship votes. Outside of that, I think it should always be not a nonpartisan, doing what's in the best interest for the citizens and residents of Danbury. And I feel as though we've done that over the years. This commission has done that, and I'm sure will continue to do that. I would encourage the commission to continue going down that road. I want to thank Joanne. She's a behind the scenes person who does an awful lot, and people who go into the office know, people who receive emails know a little bit about it. But if you've served as chairman, you know definitively the hard work that she does, and the way that she keeps not just the zoning commission but the planning commission on our toes and organized, and make sure all the notices go out in a timely manner, and as well as the other work she does for the department. And I also wanted to thank Sharon. I was chairman when Sharon got the promotion, got the to planning director, because Mr. Elpern retired. Unfortunately, it was a short-lived retirement, but she, I remember, her moving up, as interim, and then moving into that role, and she brought her strengths to it. A little bit different. I remember, Mr. Elpern going into his office and him taking out the map and the pencils and the scales and doing everything the old-fashioned way, and Miss Calitro brought a more modern technique in, go into her office, and you see the 2-3 monitors set up on her desk, and and pulling things up, doing some computer generated specs and measurements. But they both had their strengths and did great things for the city of Danbury. So I want to thank publicly Miss Calitro for the work that she's done in her whole service for the planning and zoning department. I know she has a couple months left, but I know she also is looking forward to a well-deserved retirement, and I wish her all the luck, as well as her son, in the
Thank
future, and the rest of her family. I know she has some exciting family stuff coming up down the road. So
I'm a grandma as of 3 days ago.
that's what I was alluding to. So she has some great family at time. So I know she's going to enjoy her retirement as a grandma, and then dedicated to family, which is well deserved. And then Rick, you've been on the commission uninterrupted for the same, well, you were on prior to me, but for my whole term. And again, we always worked well together.
Thank you.
You wouldn't,
I agree.
People would not have known political party affiliations along those lines, and then the rest of you guys who I've worked with, I'm just thank you for your service, and I look forward to continuing to know you.
Thank you, Commissioner Melillo.
Very, very well said.
Mr. Jowdy, a couple things.
You know what, Rob, I always said this zoning commission, there's not, Democrats and Republicans. We mesh together all the time. And in politics, it doesn't happen all the time, whether it's on the state level or the local level. So I always appreciated that. Rob, you always brought to the table expertise. Always glad to hear you. Gonna miss your laugh at the end of the meeting or whatever. Angie, thank you. Milan, Ryan, everyone. I hope you realize that we really appreciated you. And if you ever want to come back, come back.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
I would like to say,
Commissioner Helinski.
I just want to say this now as a taxpayer for the city of Danbury. I just want to thank all the commission members. Chairman Haddad, you've touched my heart in so many ways. And I want to say also to Sharon and to Joanne, my gosh, how do you guys do this? You do such a great job, and it was just my pleasure to be on the commission with all of you. And thank you for just being on the commission was a real joy and an experience. And I just want to wish everyone a good luck, happy holidays, and I want to hear great and wonderful things about the zoning commission.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
Are there
I
any
do.
good applications that'll get exciting about for Sharon before she leaves? We got to make sure something's good going on.
I don't know if there's anything in the hopper.
Let's get something in the hopper. We can't let her go out easy.
Yeah, right. We got to give her a proper send off.
Yeah, really.
Commissioner Hawley, you had something?
Yeah, just wanted to thank everybody. I've been on the commission since 2019, and I can honestly say I've learned an incredible amount of detail that really goes into what really makes the city operate behind the scenes. And I have a newfound appreciation for said detail, evident by my newer endeavors on the city council. And I really feel like a lot of the conversations and difficult decisions I've had to make on zoning will have formed me into the person that can make similar decisions on the council. And that's only possible because of the passion and leadership and mentorship that each of you have provided, both the older commissioners that are no longer with us and obviously everybody here today. But yeah, thank you. And I wish everybody best in their things, especially Director Calitro. Good luck learning golf.
No.
And I would just like to mention,
Maybe
wanna mention-
maybe
just wanna-
pickleball. That's new. Pickleball, right?
I would just like to mention one thing is that for many years, you know that I've been on the other side of the table, and now that I'm on this side of the table, I learned to appreciate all of what you do a lot more than what I knew. It's been a treat. It's as I told you, whether I won or lost, the fact that I was with you for 2 or 3 sessions, I learned about who you were, who you are, and how important this DS is. So I'm happy to be part of it, excited to be part of the future, and I hopefully I'm accepted as one of you because you're a great group. So thank you.
Can I echo the same?
Commissioner Bennett, go ahead.
Okay, I feel the same way. You know, for years and years through my career, I've sat in front of many zoning commissions and planning commissions. It's so much fun for me to be on this side, to be with you guys, because now I can read into the zone changes and what they mean and who they affect. So thank you for teaching me. Thank you for being patient with me. And I look forward to being with this group for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Commissioner Hylinski.
I just have one more thing that I want to say, and that is thank you to Commissioner Melillo, because he has helped me so much. He was my mentor, and every time I had a question or a call, you were always there for me, Rob, and you know how much I appreciated that and how much I love you. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks. Well done. Commissioner David, any comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for a successful term. And it was a pleasure working with everybody since 2015. Regrettably, my political friends didn't think Joey Ray and I were fit for renomination. So, but the thing I look forward to is I'm not going to be here for 12 and 1 o'clock, sleep sessions. So it's all good.
Me either.
Anyway, but hey, everybody, happy holidays and wish you the best. And
thank you, Milan.
as they say in Lebanon, yalla.
So you know what? This is under other matters, and I remember in the 1980s we never had other matters on the agenda, and I think it was after Russ Fody was chairman, I became chairman, and I said, somebody
You added it.
Yeah, somebody in the audience asked a question. It was simple, like when is your next meeting or something silly, and they weren't allowed to ask that. Russ Fody says you're out of order or whatever. So I said if we put other matters, and I think most of the commission doesn't even understand or maybe doesn't know why other matters is there. Other matters are to discuss non-agenda items and anything anybody wants to talk about, even in the audience. So with that said, if there's anybody there, I see that there's a couple councilmen there. I see. If anybody in the public is logged on that have any comments under other matters, I'll call them on. If not, we can just continue talking or go to adjournment? I see Councilman Rotello waving his hands.
Count me in, guys. I mean, this is, you know, every decade, maybe every generation, there's a seismic shift. It obviously happened on the council 20 years ago, 2003 November, and then it happened again 2 weeks ago, 2023. But it also happened on the school board, and it's also happening this evening here on the zoning commission. I have worked alongside of some of you, and I have watched many of you work from off the dais. And I have, as I had in the past, I still am today, and I can't say this about every commission, every authority, but I have as much respect about the present group as I did 25 years ago with the group that I came in with. It's a very difficult job. I have said many, many times, zoning is so binary. We don't do contract zoning in Connecticut. We just say yes or we say no. We saw that tonight. We had two things that on the surface seemed similar, adjusting zones for apartments, but yet they were very different and very differently received. And it takes a study to tease those differences out. I think you guys made the right decision this evening, and I'm not saying that because it happens to be in sync with how I was thinking about this. But maybe to somebody outside, it seemed kind of capricious. They approved one, they disapproved the other one. They're both the same. It's just not the case. Zoning is one of those things, one of those rare things in a community that has such a profound effect on such a small amount of people that it normally flies under the radar. Nobody cares what happens if you live in Danbury, in Avon. I mean, they just don't care. And a lot of people don't care in a community what happens a half a mile away. But boy, oh boy, if something is proposed for your own neighborhood, wow, will it get your attention? And to know that the city of Danbury, those types of changes are in the hands of people like you, and have been in the hands of people like you. And again, because it's binary, there is going to be a loser and there's going to be a winner at each and every decision. But the people of Danbury, in my opinion, and this is a studied opinion, I'm not just shooting from the hip here, the people of Danbury, in my opinion, can rest assured that whatever decisions come out of this body and that have come out of this body were done studiously and fairly. The decisions were made fairly, that the scales of justice were blind, that the decisions were made in the best interest of the city. And every one of you should be extremely proud about the work that you brought to this commission and the decisions that you made. I look forward to working with the new group as I always do, but I will miss all of you who are leaving. And because you are my neighbors, because you are living in my community, I expect to see you again in the future, maybe tomorrow night even, right? Sharon, maybe we'll see some of you guys tomorrow night, and maybe we'll see some of you guys next week at a council meeting, and maybe you'll check into a zoning meeting and throw in your 2 cents like I've been known to do briefly. Like you know me, I edit is what I always say. Keep it short, right? No, seriously.
Wait a minute.
Two things. I mean, I've never said this to Joanne, but Joanne, you are the hardest working person in Danbury. I don't know how you do it. I don't even know why you do it. But the entire edifice, and I don't mean like because you'd be crazy to do this. I just don't understand how anybody could put in the hours and the work that you do year after year after year and not go completely bananas. But much of the Kriege edifice of Danbury rests squarely on your shoulders. And if you follow Sharon leaving anytime soon, I may move out of town too. And Sharon, I don't know what to tell you. I started with Dennis, I segued with you, and I feel, you know, losing Dennis from the commission was like a bummer. Losing him to the planet was a major tragedy. And now you're leaving the commission again. I wish you the best. I really wish that you would stay. I get it. We talked about it. I understand it.
Mm.
But you know what? I'm going to miss you. We're all going to miss you. You have provided the city and this commission and me as well with opinions that were well thought, extremely studied, and very, very neutral. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilman Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might as well pile on too, not get too teary-eyed in the process, right? It's been a pleasure getting on these Zoom calls with you all. Part of my literature said, information is cheap, experience is not. And it's all revolves around this. One reason that we get on these calls is just to learn and understand the entire process of how this whole city works. People don't really understand how important these land use commissions are. You guys with the planning, with the zoning, they don't understand that. And that's why we're here, to learn. We're all going to miss Sharon. Joanne does a great job. I have walked up to Malillo and told him personally how great of a job I think he's doing, and I hope he comes back. Good friends with Angela. So I'm gonna miss all you guys. And one thing that I can take away from is the importance of the work that you all have been doing over your terms. I mean, just the thoroughness of the analysis on all of these different types of things, the questions, the answers, listening to the attorneys, listening to the opinions of our planning, listening to you all as commissioners. It all matters in the total scheme of things to help get Danbury on that whole kind of continuous path. Like Councilman Rotel just mentioned, a lot of what we do here, it's black and white. There's no hedging. It's either going to be an up or down vote on a lot of important issues, and that takes a lot of courage, a lot of experience, a lot of practice. So I thank you all for your service that you put in, and I hope to see a lot of you guys back here again, to help make this whole thing work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Perkins. Appreciate it. Commissioner Bennett, you want to say a couple things again? No, unmute. You got to unmute. There you go. Oh, no. Again, unmute.
Mute.
There you go. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. All I want to do is thank everybody. That what I heard tonight is just wonderful. I'm happy to be on this committee, and I'm going to do the best that I can. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. One quick story I meant to throw in there when I was talking about Commissioner Helinski. I'll never forget ever whether this is my last time on or I continue on. I remember one time, and I spoke last, I had some things to say, and you raised your hand and I called on you, and then you go, "Can I just ask Ms. Calitro a question?" I go, "Of course." You go, "Ms. Calitro, is he correct?" And she goes, "Yes." and then you go, "Okay, thank you." I don't know if you recall that, but it was like, oh, this is hysterical. Anyway, anybody else have anything to say? I guess not. Okay. Well, I'm going to be there tomorrow night. Hopefully we see some.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you all come.
And Sharon, I said I got plenty of time to say thank you, but I'll thank you tonight anyway. Again, I thank you every night anyway. And,
you do.
and Joanne also the same. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
You guys make this happen. Ricky, you got something?
One more thing. Sharon, I'm going to miss you. I've known you for a long time. The old days down on 2 Ives Street and so forth.
Yeah.
And you too, Joanne. You work next door. Joanne, you're not leaving. We're not letting you go. All right. And Sharon, good luck to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Who wants to make the motion to adjourn? Commissioner Helinski?
For the last time, I make a motion to adjourn.
And does Commissioner Malillo and Hawley and David want to second that? They are. It's a motion to adjourn with 3 seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Those opposed, let the record show at 9:54, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Aye.
Thank you, Ted.
Appreciate it.
yeah. So, by the way, I think you guys heard